Phoenix Down Radio is on the air. With your hosts,
Klauss Nightbringer,
Seyrr,
Chille,
and Luna Vox.
Welcome everybody to Phoenix Down Radio episode number 49. How's everybody doing tonight? Hello?
It's too hot.
It's too hot?
Not too bad.
Is it hot over there, Chille? Chille.
Chille is apparently dead.
He must have
Miss
died
him.
again. Oh no. Sad.
It's not my fault he moved from England to the surface of the sun.
He needs to stop moving to the surface of the sun. Chille, are you having
Don't
issues?
kink shame.
Hello?
There you are.
Yay! Sorry, the connection is really bad.
Yeah, your connection is horrible right now, Chille.
That was impressive.
You are roboting. It wouldn't be an episode of Phoenix Down Radio, though, without issues. Right? Right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible, Chille.
That's impressive.
Impressive in a bad way. I'm sorry, yeah.
So anyways,
So,
while Chille works that out.
yeah, Chille, I'm going to recommend that you reboot and then come back. So while we wait for Chille to come back, how was your week, Seyrr?
Not too bad. I Zeta'd another Zodiac because that's the thing I do for some reason. Got some levels. Actually capped creation tomestones, which is like weird for me. I've been doing that a lot lately.
You didn't
It's
cap the
nice.
previous weeks?
Oh no, I mean like for Stormblood I haven't, but Heaven's Word, like, yeah, that barely ever happened.
Even at the beginning?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that I capped for like 6 months, to keep getting gear if I could, so.
Yeah, well, stuff happened.
Oh, I suppose.
Your face happened.
Wait, what?
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we know. No, I hear you. I don't know. This has just been one of those weird weeks for me. I've had a hard time getting my head in the game. A lot of real life stuff has been happening, and but I'm back.
Oh.
I'm in it.
Yeah, I've been obsessively refreshing the NPR politics page. I just didn't want to talk about that too much.
You don't have to talk about that, but I guess
But no, like, it's understandable that people's heads are kind of elsewhere these days.
well, it has nothing to do with that. I've just had a bunch of personal issues that have been going on. That and I've been working on some raiding, just not in Final Fantasy 14.
Ooh.
I'm not sure.
Also,
Go ahead.
I recommend having your problems be politics ones. Then there's nothing you can do about them, which will make you feel even better. Or worse. One of those.
I think the latter.
Probably the latter.
Anyway, I was saying, for those of you who are play Pokemon Go, you know that there's a special event going on right now after the debacle that was the Pokemon Go Fest in Chicago. Now there's a number of legendary raids going on, and the town I live in has actually got a pretty good group of people. We've been organizing raids for the different legendary birds that have been popping, so I was able to get 3 Articunos while those were out. I have 3 Lugias, and I currently actually have 4 Moltres.
What I'm hearing is that you've been going around and getting exercise and whatnot.
No, we drive
Trader.
between them.
Oh, okay.
Is that better?
Yes.
But no, it's been fun. It's a way to take my mind off of things, and it's very difficult to do if you're a solo player, like Biff is mentioning in the chat. You need to have an organized group, or live in an area that is so densely populated that people who just jump in randomly, you get enough people to fill up a group. So you gotta have one of those 2 camps. In game, I just started working on more capping this week. I'm about halfway there. I am almost completed with all of my Chocobo speed boosts in the A Realm Reborn areas, so that's kind of nice.
Awesome.
I just need, I believe, one more zone, and I think actually I only need 6 more seals to get that one, and we'll be done.
It is weird how what seems like it should be such a small thing ends up being just so relaxed. It's like, oh my god, I can get to places. I can do all this random side stuff faster.
It's amazingly fast.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be this big a deal, but it's like, oh my god, I need more of this.
Yeah, I mean, the jump from 1 to 2 is nice, but the jump from 2 to 3, that's amazing. So I highly recommend that if you are not a hunter, try and jump in on those ARR raids and do the hunting if they're called out. They do go down very fast. The other option would be to try and do your weekly B rank. Even your regular elite runs. Maybe I should just do that. I should grab one of a 3-star one and do that. And that'll give me enough seals to finish.
For allied seals or Centurio seals?
These are allied seals.
So yeah, your daily bills will get you 64, and then another 100 a week from the special bill.
Yep, and I only need 6.
Yeah, but I mean, for those who are still working on it, those extra 64 add up fairly quickly.
Yeah, so it'd be 64 times 7. So,
aren't
they daily? I believe they're daily. Are they not?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
yeah, 448, I think.
So that'd be 500. That's enough. That's 2 per week just doing the bills. Yeah. If you don't catch the hunts.
And it's not like there's anything else you'd be doing with them at this stage.
Actually, I spent a lot of my seals on aetherite tokens and ventures.
Yeah.
Especially now that we've got $1,000 teleports to go across the zone, having those aetherite tickets is very nice.
I just have a very carefully set thing of favored locations.
Yeah, I do too for the most part, but it still gets expensive especially when you are hunting. Anyway, that's about all I've really done in the game so far. I'm still working on getting my weekly Alexander Omega pieces. Yeah. I was doing some writing about comparing the current tier to Alexander, so Alexander's still in my head, and it just slipped out that way. Hopefully Chille will be joining us again shortly. Are you with us, Chille? I see him in the show channel, but I don't hear him yet. Make sure your push to talk is on, man. Yes, no. It might just be a 2-man show tonight if Chille can't get it fixed. And while Luna appears in the chat, Luna, I hope you're feeling better. She's not going to be joining us tonight, unfortunately, because she just recently had oral surgery and is recovering from that. So, give everybody, make sure you give her your best wishes on a speedy recovery.
Or don't. I mean, you can be a monster. We're not going to stop you.
But so yeah, let's talk a little about game news. A lot of Final Fantasy news this past 2 weeks. Start with 15. I don't know if you guys saw this, but if you're familiar with the game series Forza for the Xbox, the new game Forza Horizon 3 will have the regalia from Final Fantasy 15 featured in it.
For those who are not familiar with it, like me, what kind of game is Forza?
It is a car racing game.
Ooh.
So you are going to be able to race with the regalia.
That is a pretty sweet car.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if I really if that really fits so much. I mean, it's probably the most realistic car that has been in a Final Fantasy game in a while, but I mean, it definitely looks better than the ones from Final Fantasy VII, right?
What do you mean?
That little pickup truck thing?
The one that they were riding in on the highway sequence. Totally the best car.
It's not going to win any races in Forza, though.
but it gets you where it needs to go. Plus, it has room for an ancient one and a puppy monster thing in the back.
Also, with Final Fantasy 15, they announced that the closed beta for multiplayer started this weekend. I didn't see a way to get an invitation for that, so I'm not playing with that at all. It's supposed to test out the multiplayer capabilities so you can play with your friends on different missions within Final Fantasy 15. What are your thoughts on that?
I still don't fully understand what exactly one is supposed to be getting out of this. Like,
it's a mini MMO experience.
Are people continuing to play once they finish the main scenario? Is there something where, like, hey, we're wanting more of this action and we'll get additional multiplayer missions? Was there something there was demand for and I just didn't notice?
I don't know. I know I Final Fantasy, aside from 11 and 14, you know, if you really can't play those games with friends. The Cydia, you can kind of, but it's a fighting game. Well,
I mean, that's a totally different feel there.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if it's how high of a demand there is in certain areas. Okay, Chille's saying through the chat, the beta is based on Kingsglaive. So it's kind of like small groups. Did you ever see the movie, Seyrr?
I did. Well, I saw it in theaters.
So they kind of have, you know, their little 2-3 man cells, their little platoons that they run around in. And so maybe it's based on something like that, where you basically you and your 3 friends make up like your party that you have as you run through the normal game, like Noctis and Prompto and yada yada yada. You know what I mean?
Do we also get to have homoerotic fan art of us done on Tumblr?
If you get a big enough following and you're a streamer, possibly.
All right, time to become an internet legend.
Or not. And yes, Kamina, Final Fantasy Explorers was multiplayer too, but it was kind of.
I mean, that was the Monster Hunter one.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
a lot of these kind of feel like they defy the standard classifications we use when you get right down to it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like it, and I hear it, Chille.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Chille.
Chille, what are your thoughts, being the PlayStation resident expert?
It's a fun multiplayer beta, and I am really looking forward to playing the full release.
Did you get in on the beta?
Yeah.
Is it something you can talk about?
Anyone can get in as long as you bought the season pass.
Oh, well, maybe I should give it a try then. I just haven't downloaded anything on it. I'm assuming that
I think.
This weekend, I believe, it just started. Yesterday or Thursday?
Thursday.
So yeah, maybe I'll mess around with that tonight or something while I'm waiting for the podcast to upload.
There's a few things I think they should change though.
Such as?
For one thing, the lobby system is just a mess.
As far as the
Finding
player matching,
groups, it's just yeah.
Is there currently a way to where you can match with friends? Like you send them a code and tell them, "Hey, put this number in, and you'll get to my group."
Yes.
Okay, so you can do private matching.
But the problem with that is it's ridiculously short. When you're matchmaking, you have 60 seconds to join the group.
So you can't throw it out there and be like, "Hey, quick, join this." It's got to be super quick. Damn.
Yeah. And with the servers issues, because it's a beta, I was able to join one of my mates, but my other mate, because I don't know why, I guess because he lagged a little bit, we could never time it right. We'd always get a server error.
That's not fun.
So, yeah.
Well, that's why they're testing it. That's why it's a beta and not a finished product.
But yeah, there was a few issues with it.
They're testing it. All right. That's something we can maybe look forward to. If it's fun content, then maybe it'll give...
By the way, it's a separate program right now as well.
Okay, so it'll be a full separate download.
So,
I'll carry on.
What can you tell us about the content, at least what you tried?
What I tried was, it's like side quests, really. Like the hunts in the main game.
So basically, as a group, you go out and do these hunts, and do you have a set role, then, that you take on?
Yeah, well, in a way you do. You have something called sigils, you can go into your jobs and like job stones in a way.
Okay.
And these sigils give you certain effects. Like one increases your damage, but stops you from being able to use cure spells. While the other one allows you to do higher cure spells at the cost of damage.
Okay, so you got tank, healer, and damage dealers then.
Yep, you got one that also increases the. You can do 2 spells instead of 1, but at the same time the MP cost is increased.
Okay.
And you've got a air step one where you can air step in the air, but that's automatically on for everyone.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's something to look forward to if it's...
But what's interesting in the beta is the fact that unlike 15's standard magic system, the magic is tied to your weapon.
Really?
So you have a dagger that has fire, or is it Firaga? I can't remember.
Okay.
Faraga?
Fraga, when you point strike into the enemy, if you press the offensive magic spell after that, he'll then cast the spell as a combo.
Well, I mean, I guess it's nice because then you don't have to fill up flasks with magic.
Yeah, I don't know how they expand it with the future. Yeah, how they'll combo it with other spells, but there's that, and then there's also Shuriken that will turn the spell from Firaga to Fundaga.
So basically, you would have to do a lot of gear swapping in order to get all the different elements.
Yeah, but remember you can still equip 4 weapons like Noctis. So.
Yep, but you have to use your arrows to change through them.
Yeah.
It's sounding a little like you might, because there's a lot of games where the single player, there's a bit more time to go into menus, mess around with stuff, and the multiplayer has a little bit more of, hey, you make these things, you commit to it, and you maybe don't hit every single roll. You let your teammates get some of that.
All right.
And also, there's no item system in the beta, whether that'll be in the continuing future, but instead you've just got like your cure spells and stuff like that. And to cure is just L2 and square, if I'm rightly, and that will heal everyone in the group with an AoE cure. Also, in combat, if you hold square, you'll put up a barrier, which will protect people.
Okay.
Ooh.
So you can be Stola.
Barrier. Yeah. It looks like the old school protect as well, which is really nice.
Oh, it's with the little hexagrams,
Yeah.
hexagons.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I don't know if it was a glitch or not, but I did find a small glitch in the first few seconds.
You
Because
find
you can only
every
cast
glitch.
You can only cast barrier while in battle. But if you end the battle as you're casting it, it will keep it up in the air. Normally you have to hold square, but it'll just stay there until you move.
Ah. Well,
Again, I don't know if it's a glitch or not, but it's just, something I found interesting.
probably. All right. So then we'll kind of move on from that. We don't want to make Alistair fall asleep in the chat.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, but that's good information. Thank you for that, Chille.
No worries.
The Dissidia Final Fantasy arcade game is going to have a new character announced on the 7th, on Monday. So we'll be able to look forward to seeing what new character is going to be in the that arcade game, which that we have not seen over here in the U.S., which I think we should have. Right?
I'm calling it'll just be an old Dissidia character.
We'll have to see. Maybe it's going to be the Griffin. And he's going to say all of his moves are sloppy.
I mean, if you're gonna put someone in like a villainous role, did they specifically say that?
No, they didn't. I just guessed.
I
But
mean,
which Griffin?
Peter Griffin.
No, if you find
Sorry.
so anyways, I would guess either Lise just for the Stormblood tie-in, or possibly Thancred.
Possibly. I mean, Stola's already in there.
Yeah.
Was Noctis ever announced for it?
I guess it should be, because not just the music was in the last Dissidia, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would be surprised if they didn't put him in there.
I'm not, like I said, I really don't know if he made it into that arcade version, so.
It's another lightning.
It's Seyrr. No, it's Snow.
Sarah!
It's Snow.
That was
Okay,
creepy. How she
that's
looks so
fine.
young.
Anyway, it'd be interesting to find out who they end up putting in. But speaking of the city, though, I'm really looking forward to when they actually announce when the start of the beta for that goes on.
Yep, I got my sign up in there.
Yep, I've signed up as well. I'm sure Chille's already in it.
Yeah,
Because he's with your PSU accreditation, so that helps.
Yeah.
I would assume that we're going to be able to get into it pretty easily.
I'm not in it.
No, don't worry about it, Chille.
Shifty eyes.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Huh?
honestly, for things like this lately, they sometimes seem to worry less about the beta testing in terms of actually having people fill out bug reports and the like, and a little bit more of just as a way to build up hype and maybe stress test the servers a little.
It's more going to be stress testing the servers.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of hype building in there.
90% of the betas nowadays are just demos.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pre-launch advertisements.
Or the early access type of things. You know, you pre-order it and you get guaranteed early access, which is basically the beta phase. But
or in the case of Fortnite, a year's worth of early access.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But this isn't your PlayStation podcast, Chille.
Wait, I just finished recording that about 2 hours ago.
All right, continuing on. Mobius Final Fantasy is celebrating its 1-year anniversary all month this month. Seyrr, I'm assuming you've been checking that out as well?
I'm playing it right now.
It was a game that it was slow to build on me, but I really am enjoying it now. When you understand the system a little better.
Yeah, so the system definitely has a bit of depth to it, especially in later chapters where they add much more complex enemies. The other thing was that they've made a lot of revisions to some of the stuff involving the gacha system, involving how you acquire the Magicite currency or summon tickets or things like that, to make it a bit friendlier to newer players and to make it easier to get some of those legend jobs and legend cards.
Yep, I actually got a couple of good jobs in the starter packs that you can get.
Oh, yes. That's another fun one. They've one of the things that they have available for people in the first 30 days of the game, or for people who are already playing 30 days from when they started it, so for most of this month, you can get one of 3 legend packs, and you can actually draw for all 3, which includes a job maxed out to full, along with several leveled up cards that'll give a kind of variety. So you have essentially a deck ready to go for a particular type of job with some reasonably strong cards, including a few support cards.
Yep.
It's actually a really nice thing for someone trying to get started.
And it's inexpensive. So, if you progress through the current, there's a little instanced set of fights that you can go through that are the celebration phase, basically. A lot of those fights are giving away Magicite as well. A lot of summon tickets. A lot of good stuff that a new player would need. And that helps to kind of bolster a veteran's stash as well.
And for the veterans, there's reference to a lot of the events and whatnot that they've had already. So that fun little nostalgia kick, always a good thing.
Yep, I'm enjoying it. Lots of energy to play the game this month. I mean, you refill, plus you get 88 extra, which builds up. If you didn't use up all of your extra energy, it adds on to the next day.
Yep. Normally they have on the 8th of every day that has an 8 in it, so the 8th, 18th, and 28th, they declare to be Mobius Day, and you get a batch of special bonuses during that. For this month, the entire first week of it is Mobius Day.
Yep, the 3rd through the 8th, I believe.
Something like that.
Yep. So it's currently Mobius Week.
Pretty much, they're also having a batch of free card draws, including a free Greater Summon where you get multiple cards. Lots of if it's something that you've been thinking of getting into, lots of stuff in there to make it easier right now.
Yep, and
I enjoy it. I encourage people to give it a try.
It's got a lot of good tie-ins to some of the other Final Fantasies. There was a Final Fantasy VII event. There was a small Final Fantasy X event. There's a
12 event going on right now.
12 event currently. There's a 15 crossover, so you get cards from all of those different Final Fantasies. Things based off of like jobs or skills or something like that.
Also, Echo is just delightful. I love Sun3 her so much. She's hilarious.
Yeah, I know.
She is the biggest troll, and it's great.
I don't know. You put her and Koji in the same room, and it would be quite a troll off.
Oh God.
Could you imagine? What if Koji is writing all of her dialogue?
So do I throw him a parade, or how does this work?
Yes.
Oh, okay then.
Yes.
That's easy enough.
All right. So, like I said, you can check that out on the Google Play Store or in the iTunes Store. Free downloads. So.
Yep, it's fun. I like it.
All right. So we also have some Final Fantasy XIV news to talk about. They just recently announced that the Moonfire Fair will be starting on Tuesday, August 8th, and will run through Saturday, August 26th till 8 a.m. Pacific time. There will be new gear, new items, a new orchestrion roll. And what does everybody think about that stupid, ugly bathing suit?
Really, I like the bathing suit. It's just the fact that it's the same bathing suit. I want something new.
It's the same model that you get from Shisui of the Violet Tides.
Is it?
Yeah. Like, here, I'm going to feel grossly mortified, but this is how that type of thing looks on a female character.
Well, see, they're only showing it on the male character. That's what made me go, ugh.
No, they showed the female as well.
Oh, I only...
There's a lot of film and there's another character there, but both female.
Alright, gaze upon my shame.
I guess I didn't realize...
My friend spent ages farming that.
All right, I'm wondering, because when I saw it signed in as my character, it only showed the male gear. So I'm wondering if they maybe don't change that.
Well, I mean, this set looks significantly different between males and females.
Mm-hmm.
Males do not get the pretty head flowers, for instance.
Yeah, I just don't like the gear look for the guys, so it's going to go straight into
tanking armor. This apparently makes me better at taking hits, better than the heavy plate armor I was wearing. I have problems with this.
Yeah, see, Betfix wouldn't it on my Lalafell?
We'll agree to disagree, guys. I just don't like it. There you go.
No, this is not armor. Like, it's great if I want to go swimming, but that is not armor.
Yeah. But yes, there will be a snow cone as well, and like I said, the orchestrion roll. So that's going to be going for the next 2 weeks, starting on Tuesday. Please look forward to it.
I'm intrigued by the name of the orchestrion roll piece. Hyper Rainbow Z, I believe it's called.
I think it sounds amazing.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a name of a tune we've already heard, or if that's something else entirely.
We'll find out.
What if it's the music from last year's Posing Rangers?
Possibly.
It sounds like something that would be.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I am going to get my free company leader to kick me out by playing that nonstop in the house.
Well, you can join ours.
But then who will I troll? Oh, right, Klauss. Problem solved.
Actually, it'll probably be them playing it nonstop. There's enough people in the old free company that would love to have that song playing 24/7, 365. With an occasional papaya thrown in.
Yeah, someone keeps switching it to papaya nonstop.
Yep. So Final Fantasy XIV will also be at Gamescom 2017. They'll be there August 22nd through the 26th. I'm assuming there's going to be a live letter during that time frame, but they didn't announce that yet. There will actually be plenty of I Beat Susano and I Beat Lakshmi shirts to win again. Grumble, grumble.
And there'll be plenty of I Got Salty Over FanFest t-shirts to take as well.
That I didn't get t-shirt at FanFest, you mean, because of Merch Line Extreme? No, but they're adding something new. They're adding a Battle Challenge Roulette, where they're actually giving away primal key rings to the victors.
Roulette's not new.
But the key rings are new.
The key rings.
They're going to have a number of I beat so-and-so that they'll give away depending on who you beat in the roulette. It seems like they get all the cool stuff over there.
Yeah. I should go there sometime.
Yeah, I mean, you're not that far. You know, just talk real nice to them.
That's how high the train would be more expensive. I looked into it.
I think we're being sold.
The train is triple the price of the flight.
Oh my god, Luna, that is the worst outfit. We can't be friends. Oh, you have a pizza cutter. You have pizza. We're friends again.
Oh my god, that's an amazing outfit, Luna.
It's terrible.
It's better than the guy's event from the coming
she's
event.
Scottish.
But anyway, this one is, I think, will interest Luna, and I was actually hoping that we'd be able to talk about it with her. Seyrr, you'll probably be interested in this one too. A new furnishing design contest has been announced. From now until August 27th, you'll get to submit a design for an interior furnishing item.
Yeah, I know people who are like, finally, I can build the mad alchemy lab of my dreams.
I mean, it's not a specific type of item. It's any item.
Oh, no, they specifically want to have stuff that would make it look like a mad chemistry lab.
Oh, I could see, that would be really cool to have, like, a bunch of beakers and flasks and things like that.
Jacob's ether ladder.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what people come up with. I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of specialized stuff for unusual things that people have been wanting to do for the longest time.
Well, I don't know. Don't they have a Moogle bed?
I don't think so, actually.
All right, I've posted a link to the Lodestone post in the Discord, in the Twitch chat.
A rocking chocobo. Yeah, like a rocking horse, but shaped like a chocobo.
Yeah, there could be some really cool things.
And it needs to be rideable. Like, they could use the animation from when you're riding in the little Whisper Go-Go and just have the Rokidan rocking back and forth on the rocking chocobo. I want this. This needs to be a thing. Someone submit it and win, please.
I have to figure out some way to sit on it.
I am having a remarkable and unexpected upswelling of feelings about this.
Why don't we just make that into a mount?
Because it's funnier if they're sitting there in a house just gleefully rocking back and forth.
Make it like one of those little quarter things that sit outside the grocery stores.
Yes, but it's funnier if they're just sitting there, not moving.
I think it'd look better if it was wooden.
Mm-hmm. I think both options should be available.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if it's wooden, you could dye it. So you can have different coloured ones if you wanted.
You can dye it if it's wood too, and metal.
Oh yeah, that's what I said.
But I was meant metal, and anything actually. Cloth can be dyed.
I'm just saying. I always prefer the look of. Yeah. Anyway, that's just me.
Anyway.
Side note, going back, Hyper Rainbow Z is in fact the Posing Ranger theme. It was originally used for the Allied Beast Tribes quest.
Not quite. Not quite. So, for the lore buffs out there, a new Tales from the Storm story series is being released, and the first installment, The Weight of a Name, is now available. I'm assuming that Seyrr, you read that.
In a heartbeat. For those who are concerned about this type of thing, it has spoilers to the start of Stormblood.
Yes, this is actually pre 3.4. I mean, a lot of it's
like the exact
starts at 2.5. A lot of it starts at 2.55, actually, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's dealing with Ida. Yes, at that time, Ida's joining up with the Resistance after the events of 255, and touching on some things that happened with that.
Yep, I've linked that also in the Twitch chat. So if you have not read that, make sure to make note of that and check it out when the show's over. It's actually very well done. A lot of interesting backstory on how things started. Chille, did you get a chance to read it?
No, I didn't really.
Chille.
It's a fairly tough read. You shouldn't have trouble.
Yeah, it's only like 4 or 5 pages long, realistically.
I shall give it a read sometime.
Yes. Anything else that you guys can think of that you want to talk about in the game and community type news? Any community stuff you want to share? Apparently not.
A friend of mine has implemented a days since Ralgar Reach has tried to relitigate the 2016 election, or 2016 election. It got reset to 0 multiple times today.
I don't
Ralgar's Reach. If you hang around in Ralgar's Reach for long enough, people will attempt to relitigate the 2016 election.
Okay.
Usually multiple.
Okay.
I object.
People
Objection!
argue about politics a lot. It's a good reason to have your, ooh, that just sold. Sweet.
I object.
Yeah, it's a Tim Brelly.
And someone is shouting for teleport Maya. That takes it
I only
back.
have a holler.
I was just gonna say tell him hollow this time. 'Cause somebody
Oh
was,
my god, Chille, you're trolling them, you punk.
yes. All right.
But
So,
yeah,
Sold
nothing.
money but to buy it to be itchy.
all right. So let's continue on then. So for a discussion topic this week, we're kind of going to continue talking about the new content that we've gotten with Stormblood, and we're going to specifically discuss the current raid tier, Omega. So currently, we have the normal and savage modes of Omega Deltascape versions 1.0 through 4.0.
I swear, every time I hear that name, the theme music to Log Horizon goes through my head. Deltascape, just living in the Deltascape. Whoa. Anyone else? Anyone?
Never
No.
heard it, but now it will.
No.
It's a fun. It's one of those ones where it's like, hey, we're trapped in an MMO world, but instead of using it as a thinly veiled excuse for your standard swords and sorcery type thing, they use it for politicking and economics.
Oh wow.
It was kind of made for me.
Okay.
I haven't tried it yet, but that's because I wouldn't be surprised, Alistair, because I saw the fact that actually that will wait. But yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit
That's
about
really
it. The normal mode currently drops items, which you can be used to turn. You can turn it in to get eye level 320 stuff. It's a similar system to what they introduced with the Alexander raids. You need like one bolt for an accessory, one chain for a belt, 2 pedals, or and so on and so on. Everybody is for the most part familiar with how it goes. If you're not,
And
you
in
can always
fact,
Google
I
it.
think the exact same parts correspond to the exact same slots.
Yep.
Shafts are still bodies.
Springs are
still
legs. Pedals are
Because
feet.
you use your springy legs to jump.
Yep.
Like, all the various parts have some minor correspondence to the body part they're for.
Yeah, I just don't like the system. I never have.
Yeah.
But that's neither here
I'm
nor
happy
there.
that they now have added them into the actual descriptions of them, though, because when it first came out, it was kind of confusing at some point. I know, yes, they sort of represent the same thing, but when you get in them, some people still get confused. Hell, I get confused occasionally.
Yeah, well, and I think the biggest reason they did it is because of the jump potions. There's going to be players who didn't play through Alexander. They're not going to understand the system, so it's a way to. They just reworded it to make sure everybody who's new can understand it as well.
Which
And
I like so
even for-
much.
Even for people who didn't, it may not be necessarily reasonable to expect them to memorize that stuff all the time.
It's been a
True.
pleasure, guys. I love all you do.
Oh,
Oh, thank you, Kay.
thank you for subscribing,
resubbing.
for resub. Yes, we appreciate that. Always awesome. So the Savage tier has a similar system to the Alexander Savage system, where there will be up to 2 coffers that will drop random pieces of loot at the end of the fights, as well as everybody who completes the fight will get a page that they can collect to get for turning in to those items as well. I believe it's 2 for an accessory on a certain floor.
It's some number or another.
Yeah.
I thought it's like 4 for an accessory.
Is it 4? Maybe.
So pretty
I
much
think
you have the chance for a direct drop, and either way you'll get at least part of a thing towards another one. But acquisition of items from this tier is a bit slower.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you actually not really, because you get 2 guaranteed pieces
Yeah.
per fight. So
But
And
that's
if
for the
you-
entire group.
yeah.
And if you're
And it's-
able to beat the final one, there's a chance that you'll get a weapon dropped into your inventory as well as the one that's in the boxes.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I wanted to talk about real quick. I love how they did that. So you get a weapon for your job as a possibility, as well as whoever wins the box can choose what weapon it is. So you're
Because it'll be a
always
weapon for whatever job you're on when you open it.
correct. So you'll always get weapons for the jobs you need.
Oh yeah, but the weapon that drops into your inventory is random.
Oh, it's
Not
not
random,
one,
like,
it's not based on the job you're on?
No, it's based on the job you're on, but it's not in the box itself. It just goes into your inventory.
Yeah, so you have
Yeah.
there's a 1 in 8 chance of getting the item of the weapon dropped to your inventory is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then there's the Genji
I remember-
box that drops.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the box specifically is the one I'm thinking of.
Yes. Plus then a page. All of this
Yeah.
gear is item level 340. Where is the weapon 345?
Yep, I think so.
Like
well,
it has
makes
been in the
sense 'cause
past?
Yeah.
5i levels higher.
As usual, it's the best stuff available at the moment.
Yep. As well as then, if you join a group that has already progressed through that particular floor, turn, whatever you want to call it now, you may only get 1 or even 0 chests that drop, depending on how many people have cleared it during that week.
See, I've never liked that system.
I mean, the entire point is, hey, we don't want people selling clears and using this to get lots of extra stuff.
Yeah.
See, I wish they'd just do it like with 24 months, where yes, this chest still drop, but you can't roll on it.
I like that, but that means everybody would be able to get a piece that week. You know what I mean?
No, I meant, I'm talking about when you go with it. So, let's just say your group runs. You are all locked off. But then if you run with a friend, there won't just be no chest. There'll be like 1 chest, so he still has something to roll on in a way. I know that means he's guaranteed the item, but...
Yeah, see, I don't know.
I mean, I think that's the thing they want to avoid.
Sure.
Yeah.
But there's got to be a way to sort of do... Yeah, it's because it's big.
But I mean, that's the thing. Once you can say so-and-so is guaranteed an item, it's how much of your money is it worth to guarantee an item?
Yeah, they're going to start selling those clears at that point.
And like, if it's a guaranteed thing, then it becomes extra valuable.
Or if they're going to sell me... I'll buy a Savage 4 clear.
A lot of people would.
I want the Savage... Not this one, I mean the old one. Alexander.
You shouldn't need to buy one now.
I'll buy an Alexander 4 clear.
For $1?
Like... Hey, no real money trading.
Oh, Gil?
I'll buy it for about $350.
Oh my god.
You're fired, Chille.
And then I looked up and realized Chille was a Sildra.
Trying to sell you Girl Scout cookies?
Alright.
Anyway.
We have officially memed. Let's move on.
Yes. All right. So let's talk a little about the story that we got behind the current raid. Basically, after the fight between Omega and Shinryu, Omega got blasted into the rocks just outside of the fringes, and basically has been sitting in there in its own aethero something all soup type stuff. Pink
Keep in mind that when
fluid.
we found Shinryu, it was bound up with those restraints that seem to be of Omega origin. So it seems like on some level Omega was successful against Shinryu.
Or did he get knocked out and those were actually Garlean in creation? It never was really explained. I think that it was actually created by the doctor guy there. That
Garlean tech has at this point largely been cheap knockoffs of Allegan stuff. For them to surpass and do something where Omega couldn't, I have my doubts.
Well, they've been working on, maybe they've developed something, after they found Ultima weapon, they were able to use, pull something out of that and reverse engineer it. But we can discuss this at a later time. I mean, that's a total another discussion right there.
Anyways.
Anyway, so Omega's basically been sitting in this pool of like ethereal goop, so to speak. It's pink and it's just cavernous full of it. And basically he's sitting in there kind of programming himself to find the strongest enemy he can to fight. And he's been trying to, find these enemies. I guess the story behind him is he's been outside in the universe.
It's not just that he's trying to find it. He is actually trying to create a better foe.
Well, now he is, because he's been trying to find it for however many millennia before he crashed onto Hydaelyn. Because we learn he's not of this star. He's not.
You're jumping ahead a little bit, though.
But it's part of the story, so we're just discussing it.
Narrative structure is the thing.
You want to do it, Seyrr?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Seyrr.
All right. So, pretty much after the dust has cleared, the Ironworks contacts us because they've started up a project having found this strange ethereal pool in that big pit in the southern reaches of the Fringes. We go there and we, after some entertaining escapades involving weird ethereal dragons and a kind of weird mutated chocobo, which is definitely not a ripoff of the one that appears in the Chocobo Dungeon series.
It's the Chocobo Mystery Dungeon one. He got confused and lost, and now he is here.
Yep. Well, this one is apparently a creation of Omega, because Omega is down there. At least what we're told at first is that Omega wants to fight the strongest stuff, and now that Shinryu's gone, it wants to make a better enemy. So it's created some sort of like test prototype versions of them, not fully realized in physical form, and it's pitting them against each other to try to determine the strongest one. Once it's found the strongest of all these subjects, it'll make it for real and then fight it.
Fighting round the world.
Exactly. And so now that we've ended up in there, rather than face erasure at Omega's hands, we have agreed to participate in its program, and so fight against these things to determine which one is the strongest. We are hoping to that will be us. At the same time, we would really rather Omega not go through with this plan and create something even worse than Shinryu, and then fight that and destroy the world in the process.
Yeah.
At least. Yeah. That's a story that we get told at first. As we do progress through the various stages of the Deltascape, which is the lowest arena in Omega's realm, we are told, we do start to get some hints that Omega's motives may not quite be what it's told us. And I don't know if you want me to go into details on that.
We can maybe save that for a little bit, but one thing that we discovered is he has the ability to create these things, and he can put them anywhere he wants. We watch as he puts fiends in the control room at the Cardinal Flats, and he uses that to knock out Wedge and Biggs.
Attempted murder, though, didn't quite work out.
And he threatens to do the same thing to all the different cities across Hydaelyn. So basically, we're stuck fighting him to keep him from doing that.
And then he showed him going to do Astilian, and then I said, go ahead.
I mean, he made a rather chilling comment about how, yes, we could take them on, but the people here can't. And then we get shots of, the orphanage in Gridania, or the dancing girls on the street of Ul'dah.
Oh, come on, the dancing girls would kick his ass. They would. He would threaten them, and then as soon as all the men that sit around them will attack back.
I don't think that's how that works. So yes, the first set that we do is the Deltascape. There does seem to be a kind of Greek letter designation. Alpha, that chocobo-like creature, is described as one of the weakest creatures there. And the first section is Delta, and Omega, of course, is the final one. So it's Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon. I used to know most of the Greek alphabet. Kappa. Anyways, we might get further sections named after that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see what the naming is. I'm assuming we're gonna get different letters, and it won't all be Deltascape. At least I'm hoping.
Yeah, but so the first set of fights that we have was themed around enemies from Final Fantasy V. The battlefields that we're on take us through a Omega computer-generated landscape, very reminiscent of Dimension Castle in the Rift from FF5.
Yep. Though in game, it's just these warriors from these stories and fables.
Yes, that is one of the things that comes up. Omega, despite having this huge breadth of knowledge, does not actually have the ability to think creatively and come up with its own ideas. It has so much knowledge and information that it has that semblance, but everything it creates is something that it heard about from somewhere else. And a lot of the stuff that it creates are versions of various horrible villains from different stories.
Yep. So we in the Deltascape we get 4 different enemies to face based off of those legends. V 1.0 gives us Altaroit, which is a big snake-like dragon with wings. In a pretty interesting fight the first time I went through it, but pretty easy now. Even the Savage version.
Yeah.
There's nothing super memorable about it, which, I mean, the first fight tends to be a little bit gentler in that regard.
I mean, it's a dance. You need to know, what he's doing and where to be and when he's doing. I like the skating mechanic again that we get with the thin ice and having to move in certain ways to not get things to to run into each other or go into AoEs that are spawning all over the place. So I mean, it's a scripted fight basically. And it's just shorter based on how much DPS that your group can do. The thing that Savage adds to it basically is it takes the edge away and you can fall off now.
Which is much more risky when you have the skating on thin ice, combined with some of those... What do you call that mechanic? Stuff when you have each person's targeted with a thing and you don't want to stack. Is there a name for that mechanic?
Or are you talking about the Thunder one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a similar one to like you have in Thornton.
Is there a name for that mechanic?
I can't recall it. So. I just remember it's a thunder-based one.
But yeah, so there's one where, for instance, you want everyone to skate into the center to avoid one thing, but then immediately skate back where they were to avoid overlapping their circles for another one.
The second fight actually I'm enjoying as well. V 2.0 gives us Catastrophe, basically a tentacle monster that...
I hate that fight so much.
Why do you hate that fight?
I kind of like it. Also, it's definitely not a Beholder from Dungeons & Dragons. That would be copyright infringement.
Right? It's totally a Beholder.
We're going to get sued.
I hate the fight just for one mechanic. You know the one where you got to run into the middle?
Oh, okay. You have a hard time.
A small little gap.
Yeah.
I have trouble working out where it is because of all the people that have to stack there.
Well, stack on everybody.
But even then, it's very hard to tell exactly where you got to stand because of the the orange circles that are above cover it.
I usually shift my camera to look directly overhead.
Yep.
So that fight involves an enemy who can manipulate gravity and a device provided to you that allows you to float into the air, though you have no way to turn it off.
That's smart, Biffet, but I never think about that. We should put the D in the middle.
But anyways, lots of stuff involving, for instance, stacking in a particular way or moving to avoid a particular item, circle zones, combined with the thing that they may be split between multiple levels. Yep. So, for instance, when you have one where everyone needs to stack to split damage, one person is made to float involuntarily, and so everyone who's moving to join them has to remember to hit their float as well.
Yep. I mean, I guess that this game or this particular expansion is now added on that whole, they're using a lot of these active time event kind of things where you got the extra button that you have to click.
Or the duty actions.
Yeah. You had mentioned that it'd be nice if it'd be something you could actually hotkey. I think you can. I'm not sure how though. Excuse me.
I've had multiple instances here and also with Lakshmi where it's like, okay, I have this button I need to click. Holy crap, where did my mouse go?
Right. I mean, I actually moved...
On console, it's not too bad because it's R2 and R3. Or L2 and R3, and you have to hold those press buttons to do the attacks anyway, so the only difference is you press R3.
Interesting.
And BivTech in the chat saying, yes, they have hotkeyed it, so you can find where that's at and you can bind a key to it.
I should actually look that up. But yeah, the Savage version is a bit interesting in that in the normal version, every so often, Catastrophe will use something to remove the float on everyone. In the Savage one, he'll only use it on a few people, and you have to make sure you're in the right spot to overlap with them and take advantage of that, or else you may find yourself stuck in an upwards
It's
position.
called 100 Gs.
Yep. Also, fun note, most of the attacks that are used by these enemies do have the same name as attacks that were used by their Final Fantasy V counterparts. Catastrophe in Final Fantasy V did use Earthquake moves, would use 100 Gs on anyone who is floating to remove their float status.
Interesting.
Yep. So yeah, I talked about this a little further in the notes, but one of the things I really like is there is the classic reference, the monster from the Final Fantasy V. This particular mechanic, they had this thing, which maybe they had a relatively simple mechanic because that's what the system would have at that time. And now they still take the idea of that, but they use that as a starting point to build in something much more complex that fits in a bit more with the kind of challenge that a modern player expects. Which actually brings us to my favorite of the fights.
Oh, yes. It's time for the board games.
Board game night at Dimension Castle!
Yeah.
It actually is a fun fight.
Yeah. So that's Halicarnassus.
Well, I thought it was a girl. Then I found out it was a guy.
Yeah, in the original one it was a guy, and in this one it's a girl.
No,
and
it's a guy still.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just a trap.
I object to the terminology, but...
Well, yeah, I'm just saying the fact it's a guy.
Yeah. Also, it's the name of the final boss of Hoke Manor Hard, so I do wonder about that. Maybe both of them draw their name from the same story or something.
Yeah.
But that one is actually played out on a large game board. It's kind of like a sort of Victorian-style party where you've got dances, you've got parlor games.
You got frogs.
You got tea.
Having to match yourself up to the various floor points. The fact that if you actually do the various little mini games well, you get significant bonuses. If everyone matches the floor panels properly for those games, you get a huge limit gauge boost. I've taken the firing off the LB3 as soon as it's available because I know more is going to be on the way. And if you do get through that escape maze before Halicarnassus finishes draining her tea, you actually get a haste and a damage boost.
It's very cool. It's a well-done fight, and I really do enjoy it.
Yeah. One of the other mechanics I really like in there is there's a fair amount of stuff where you are going to have forced movement, which we saw in Siren Song C, but they really developed on that a bit more, where you get warning that you are going to be forced to move in a particular direction and needing to take to set yourself up in a particular way so that your movement will allow you to be in the right spot to avoid a mechanic or stack for another. I thought was a really interesting touch.
Also, I don't know if you know this, but in the Savage version, when he does the ribbit move that turns you into a frog, later on it can actually turn you into a pig and an imp. I think it is.
So then there's more stuff to match onto?
Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool.
So yeah, it's not just a matter of... Yeah, I think you're right. Imp, Toad, and Pig. And so then it's not just a matter of everyone get toaded, it's a matter of make sure that we get people who are covering all of the different types.
And then the final fights that we get to fight a really malevolent tree.
I love how much when they're talking about the story, it's like, yeah, some of the stories said it was a tree, but we're going to ignore that bit. He's this knight in armor.
Well, I don't know. He turns into a tree.
Yeah?
Yeah, but there's an acknowledgement how some parts of the story do not necessarily make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Trees, my god.
So it's Exdeath, of course, wielding the power of the void, which, as they also discuss, it is unclear what in the story it actually meant, but Omega seems to have come up with its own interpretation.
He just reaches in and grabs the void.
Yep, and there's a void thing that occasionally Exdeath will channel power from, and that changes up the effects of his spells.
That I thought was a very nice touch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so basically you have to see not only what he's casting, but how he's casting it.
Yeah, so you can't just look at bars, you have to be paying a bit of attention to what's actually going on the battlefield.
And then there's a lot of other mechanics that are happening. He summons little mini black holes.
Yep.
The walls fall
Another
away again, so you got to watch out so you're not getting pushed off.
Another
through
one
certain
taken
moves.
from the Another one taken from the source material. Once he gets to around under half health, give or take, he actually starts dual casting his spells. That's another one that was taken from the original game.
But no,
So when he's doing an elemental spell, he'll do 2 in a row. Some of them void casted, some of them not, and so you really have to be on your game because some of those void casted spells will require you to stop moving or to not stop moving, or other fun things like that.
Or just to stay spread out or stack
Or
up.
if it's avoid thunder, you cry because of the range of it's ridiculous.
I've gotten caught in that a few times. And then the Savage version's just really, really intimidating.
Yeah, they added a whole new phase with Neo X Death.
Yep.
Neo.
I mean, if you look at it in the Raid Finder, all the other ones, 90-minute time limit. That one, 120 minutes.
Well, it's basically like A8S.
Though, if you do get to the Neo X Death stage and then you wipe, you apparently get to start from there during that time.
But your timer doesn't reset, so...
Well, but they give you extra time. So once you've gotten to the point where you consistently take down the first form...
That's nice because, I mean, if you think back to the second tier of Alex Savage, like when you look at the gauntlet, you had to run through the entire gauntlet through Savage if you wiped. So it's nice that they're actually kind of letting people work on some of those phases. So they're not,
it's just a progression.
Yeah.
I understand they may have done Alex 8 Savage, or was it Alex 6?
Well,
I think it was Alex 6.
6 was the gauntlet.
Was it? Yeah, 6, yeah.
Yeah, 8 was the one that had the
Brute Justice,
the Brute Justice plus then the second version.
Glorious. But yeah, I understand why they wanted to do that for dramatic effect, but I can also see hey, this is something that's a bit hard on the players, so maybe we'll tone it down a little.
But it gives people an opportunity to continue to work on that particular phase instead of having to fight through the first one, which people are saying was actually harder than the second portion of it.
Right.
So that's basically the story
I was
and
surprised
enemies.
if the second bit is just to sort of like, it's just like, well done, you did this, here's something unique that normal players won't get. Sort of thing. To give the Savage people like a little reward.
And then there's also going to be the basically V5, a new fight that's going to be coming that's going to be even harder yet.
It's not 5, is it?
It's going to be it's not going to be based off of the previous 4. It's going to be an Ultra Savage mode story
but
from
it's not going to be 5.
Well, I don't know what they're going to call it, but
it's going to be called Super Duper Savage.
So anyways, but yeah, the difficulty balance, I'm not quite sure what they're aiming for, but this one did seem a little bit easier than some of the Alexander stuff. They did get that, at least the early Alexander stuff. The world first for 4.0 Savage was about how long? It was under 24 hours.
Yeah, the entirety was completed in the first 24 hours. So it's very similar time frame to what they had with Creator Savage.
I thought it was faster.
I thought
it's similar time frame though.
Yeah, it was. I know it was well within the first couple of days on Creator. So, but I remember Yoshi saying this was right around what he had assumed would happen with the world first crew.
Yeah.
And it sounded like from what they were saying that they were happy with the difficulty balance that they struck by that point, that they felt like the early Alexander stuff was too difficult and they felt like they had it the right point with the Creator. So it's, assuming that still holds, seems like they've got it about at the point they want it to be at.
No, I'm hoping that the next stage is going to be similar in difficulty to the second stage of Alexander, because that was a good fit right there.
Yeah.
And then I hope that the third stage is more like the first stage of Alex, the hardest.
Yeah. Speaking of that next stage, so when we did complete the Deltascape, it does become unavailable for various reasons, which is a pity. I kind of wanted to hang out in that hub area some more. But I'm kind of curious about what to expect, given that Dimension Castle was the last dungeon of FF5, and we did face the last boss, X-Death, and the last form of the last boss, Neo X-Death. So kind of doubtful that they do more FF5 stuff.
I'm actually hoping they don't do more FF5 stuff, and I'm hoping the way the storyline for this goes, like I said, pulling from different stories, is that they use that to pull from different stories of Final Fantasy as well. So maybe we'll see something from, maybe we'll see like Kuja from FF9, or maybe we'll see Kefka, from 6. I know a lot of people really want a Kefka fight in this game, so I definitely think that might be something that we would see. And Kuja's probably one of the cooler bosses as well. I mean, Chaos could be a boss.
I think Chaos should be saved for the final tier.
I mean, the thing I wonder about is, it seems reasonable to assume that they're going to do a set of 4 and have them come from a single game. Like, does that seem reasonable to assume?
That's my guess.
So, I mean, in that case, it'd be kind of a question of which game they pick for that. While Kefka at the end would be kind of neat, there's part of it that's like, if you're thinking about the bosses from Kefka's Tower, they kind of already did a bunch of that in Cast from Abania.
And we've also got the primals, haven't we, with Sephiroth, Sophia, and...
Yep, we've gotten the Warring Triad already.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah.
Maybe the super duper last ultra fight that we get out of this tier is going to be Kefka at that point. Who knows?
No, I really think if it's going to be anyone, it's going to be Chaos.
So, one thing I'd like to throw out there, through the story stuff, we learned that, among other things, Omega is interested in studying heroes and the concept of heroism, in addition to everything else he's studying. And I've got the city on the brain. I wonder if we could feasibly be pitted against any of the classic Final Fantasy heroes.
That's a thought as well. I doubt that they're going to do it that way, though, because it just...
Yeah. That might be too fourth wall breaky.
What if it's the Warrior of Light?
But I am the Warrior of Light.
That's the thing, though. We've had so many stories written about us. What if he after we fight him, he researches us and then makes a version of us?
Oh god, we fight the Archangels?
Yeah.
Skynam is confirmed?
But there wasn't an Aura Archangel. They can't just reuse all the models.
Aww.
Then on the fights beforehand, we can have Genbu, Suzuki, and Bayako.
Part of me was actually hoping for FF8 bosses, not because I have a special affinity for it, but just like I feel like it hasn't gotten as much invoked in the various references as the others have. And I feel stuff like, I know, rather than have everything just be a single straight-up boss, like there were the various gauntlet-type fights that we talked about, having that time compression sorceress gauntlet could be a way to achieve that.
Yeah, Griever, Ultimecia, Edda. Those would be good bosses.
Yep.
But Edda's in the Palace of the Dead. I know you mean Adia, but...
Maybe.
Yeah. That said, if they did do FF8, I wonder if they could put time compression in such a way that it wasn't just a rehash of Alexander.
No, it should be Shantado. I agree.
Yeah, that'd be a bit. But we already had Shantoto Fate, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we fight Meg Ryan. I mean Tidus.
His attack is just
Sin.
Oh my god, I hate
it's super effective. Oh, so unfortunately, I have not set foot in Savage. Everything that I know about it, I've gained from reading what people have been doing on social media and going through the different videos on it. What are your guys' thoughts and opinions on how it was done? I personally really enjoyed what we've gotten so far. Some people thought that it was beaten too easily. I'm not so sure that I agree with that. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, you say beaten too
within 24 hours.
I mean, I understand that, but I mean, there's kind of there's the world first top end rating type things, but most people aren't that. If it's something where the world firsters are taking weeks on it, it's going to be something so difficult that people who maybe are still rating, still pretty decent, still get good with time, but maybe aren't quite there, I feel like they would get much more easily discouraged. Or by the time they get to it, and it's like, yay, we got our first clear. Okay, gotta log out for maintenance where they add the new one.
Okay.
you don't just want to be thinking about the world firsters. You want to think about how rough it's going to be for the population as a whole. And you do want people to be able to clear it in some reasonable amount of time such that they can actually get some of the stuff from it and enjoy the benefits of it. Otherwise, it feels kind of pointless.
Yeah.
That's my feeling on it anyway.
But you also want to make sure that people aren't, it's that a majority of people aren't just clearing it just before the new one comes out, too.
Exactly. Otherwise, it's like, hooray, I got this thing.
Now now it's all worthless. Yep.
Yeah. Like, you want time to actually enjoy the loot you just got.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I think, I'm reading in the chat, Alistair likes that the way the fights are designed. He's happy that the fights are good because he thinks the storyline is uninspired. I kind of like where they're going with the story. It's a start. I mean, I had the same feeling with Alexander, honestly, and I think this story is better than Alexander, at least to start off.
It's got potential, I think.
They didn't give enough exposition at the start of Alexander, so it was really vague as to what was happening and why we needed to do
went
this.
From being really bad story to really good at the end.
Oh, yes, it was phenomenal at the end, but neither one of them hold a candle so far to what we got with the Binding Coil.
Binding Coil's kind of a special case. That had like a year of hype preceding it.
Yeah, but I mean, would I love to have a story like that on my raids? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But please wait till a year for the raid then.
Well,
oh man. So I know this came up. Someone was asking about being able to replay some of those battle content, like the big fight scenes at on Azu's Step or other stuff like that. I really want to have that one where you're climbing up through the bottom of Omega's realm again.
Oh, where you're being tested?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I wonder
fun.
if we'll have to do something like that again.
For the second phase, probably. Because he's going to see if we've grown, if we're worthy of fighting the next tier.
I put on bigger shoes. I have grown.
It's basically this tier's version of the Faust.
Yeah. I suppose that makes sense. You put that there rather than have it be something that everyone has to go through every time.
But it's, like I said, I'm enjoying it so far. And like I said, I hope that they expand it to include other Final Fantasy villains in the next series. So it's not just 5. And like I said, the way they're at, I would think that that's what they're going to do.
Yeah. I mean, am I the only person here who actually played through 5?
I don't know, Chille, did you play it?
No.
I own it, but I haven't played it.
I played a couple different versions, including a ROM translation back when I was like 12.
You're bad, Seyrr.
Just because they came out here so late.
Yeah, it wasn't available. This was the only option. And it was actually a fairly decent translation. It was the RPGE one, I think. Anyways, that aside, I think I enjoyed it a bit more just because of the nostalgia trip and the whole, like, the way they talked about the various enemies, the references to them, the various attacks. I was just like, oh, hey, it has this blaze attack, which before was just like, okay, you get hit with this fire. It's not super memorable. But then actually turning it into something where it was kind of fun to go back and think about the fights I'd had playing the game and imagining the characters of 5 playing through it like that.
Okay.
Side note, Alteroid actually referred to an old wizard hunched over who, as the fight went on, transformed into the giant flying dragon snake thing called Jura Avis. That said, I think the Alteroid mount you can get actually refers to this. It talks about how Alteroid appeared in the story as an old wizard who could turn into a dragon.
Cool.
So, once again, I really love that they have that attention to detail in the reference they're making to the source material and make sure to include those little touches.
Okay. All right, now we got a few minutes left so we can talk about one thing we haven't heard a lot about yet, and I'm hoping we hear it in an upcoming live letter, is there hasn't been a lot of discussion on what we're going to be doing with the Return to Ivalice raid. The 24-man is going to be coming up in October with the drop of patch 4.1. You know, because there's been talks that, you know, Ivalice might be a landmass, you know, basically between Eorzea and and Doma, that area, basically
So
south
somewhere,
of the Empire.
the term you're looking for is the continent of Ilsabard.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's why we have you, Seyrr.
That's one of many reasons you have me. Anyways.
Anyway, so there's talk about towns of Dalmasca and Rabanastre in that area. Does that mean we're going to be starting to venture over to that area, or is it going to be a different iteration of Ivalice?
Well, I mean, it's one thing they've talked about before, that like the versions that cross over, they're not actually crossing over from another world.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like this world's reflection of it. So it's not necessarily going to be the exact same one. But it's going to be something that has a lot of familiar things. Comparisons were made to like a theme park version at one point. But I am wondering how we're going to get there. That is actually a good question. I mean,
there's a number of different ways that can be brought in. We can
Eagle.
look. No.
But I mean, there's the like getting us there in such a way that we're not just being like, screw this, I'm walking out the gate and exploring this new area.
No, well, they're going to lock it off, and so we can only get certain areas. But
yeah,
and Ivalice is not just Final Fantasy 12 either. It's also the Tactics series and a few other Final Fantasy games. So
also Vagrant Story.
Vagrant Story.
I will
that's the one
always mention
thinking.
Vagrant Story. Vagrant Story is technically not a Final Fantasy. It got retconned to be Ivalice because it worked with the setting afterwards.
Okay, but it's not. It's in the canon, but it's not.
In game, it was not originally described as being in Ivalice, but in canon, it's considered part of the Ivalice Alliance.
Okay.
Which is the name for the series, I believe. So that said, Tactics 12, Tactics Advanced, the others, they're separated by a significant gulf of time. 12 is supposed to have happened, like, I think centuries before Tactics.
Okay.
So, I mean, if they're having hey, we're going to this, we're going to this thing, and they're going to be having the reference to it, I mean, they can mix and match as they want, I suppose, but if they're having some stuff that's Tactics and some stuff that's 12, at least the canon we know about them is separated by a significant gap of time. So they're going to have to mess with the setting a bit to make that all mesh together if they want to do it that way.
Just don't believe the lies.
Oh man, I finally did that segment. I finally understand how wonderful and slightly cringy it is. It's great. Though this did come up on the Phoenix Down Radio Discord in the Lorebrary we have newly established, where I made a joke about the inevitable time travel content, which got some groans from everyone else involved.
You're welcome, by the way.
Thanks.
Well, you didn't.
So if
you yelled at me at first. It's like, what did you do to me? Being you spent, 8 hours in there one night with Moose and Killendare and a few others?
We were having a really good discussion. Anyways, if I accidentally caused time travel content to appear, I apologize for that in advance.
No, the story that they came up with and the discussion they had was amazing. So it's something I love having.
Yeah, people who... can people freely hang out in our Discord? We have a link, don't we?
Absolutely. Yep. There's a link to the Discord channel below the stream, so feel free to click on that. And I believe everybody has access to the Lorebrary chat room.
Yeah.
You won't be able to see past messages, but you'll be able to contribute. It'll be a great place to ask Seyrr questions on different things within the game.
I mean, I check it pretty frequently, and I sometimes type entire paragraphs without noticing it. So if you start asking stuff or starting a discussion, I am almost certain to end up joining it eventually.
So yeah, that's another reason to join the Phoenix Down Radio Discord channel. Like I said, click the link below the chat, or we can always send you guys an invite if you need it. You can go to phoenixdownradio.com/discord as well, and it should redirect you to the web invite as well. So yeah. Anyway, Chille, your thoughts on what we might get?
I pretty much want to say what Seyrr said. I think we'll get some references, but I don't think we'll actually go to Ivalice.
Okay. So it'll be like they'll be referencing this area called Ivalice, but it won't be like the exact copy of what was in those games.
I expect a few, similarities, but I don't expect it to be exactly the same as it was.
There'll be old stories that we'll be hearing about, and
Maybe.
Okay.
And then I expect, not in this one, maybe not in the next one, but I expect a Vera tease. Yeah, some person will have a mask or a hoodie on that covers their ears.
Oh, like a
But
judge?
I expect, they'll get... No, the bunny race.
Like how Yugiri was covered up for a while.
Yeah, like Yugiri.
Oh, you
and
think
then suddenly she gets knocked
they're gonna be
back
the
and,
Viera.
oh no, she's a Vera.
Gotcha.
I mean, I could also see just like, hey, they have this race here, and it's just like they exist, but they're not a race that we get to be.
We'll get
We
it
have
eventually.
As I said, I don't expect it until the end though.
I mean, as long as we're guessing about things we're going to see in there, I feel like Wraithwall's tomb is going to be the perfect setting for something like this. So I'd expect that to be in there at some point, especially since that would mean a demon wall fight.
Yes,
I guess we've had it in Omnipore, but you could do like a entirely new take on it.
Well, I mean, they were totally different versions of Demon Wall too. So.
Yep, Demon Wall is a recurring one.
Yep, definitely. So you can have different types of demon walls. All right. Listeners, if you want to let us know what you kind of want to see out of the Return to Ivalice, you can always email us, podcast@phoenixdownradio.com. You can tweet it to us at phxdnradio. Like I said, we'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are on the subject as well. So let us know. With that, we are going to turn it over again to Seyrr, and he is going to be discussing a lovely subject. He's going to be reveling in it, in fact. You're talking about Susano and the Kami.
Yep. So yeah, I figured one of the new primals would be a good one to talk about. Ended up flipping a coin, went with Susano. So next week, or next show, which is 2 weeks from now, I always make this mistake. Assuming that no one sends in other interesting questions, I'll be talking about Lakshmi. But for now, talking about Susano and the Kami. So, in 14, he is the Lord of the Revel, as we remember, the primal of the Kojin. They're the turtle-like collectors of treasures who live in the Ruby Sea. And he's summoned by this accidental confluence of 3 treasures that are just full of ether. The Magatama, the Mirror, and the Sword. And the sheer panic of the Kojin at seeing their treasury under attack gave rise to this very strong desire to have someone to protect it, and the Aether and the Desire again together called forth Susano, Lord of the Revel. Now, this is kind of interesting in that it's not the first time that we've seen it, but we do continue to have questions about it, where normally we expect primal summoning to be something that requires a lot of ritual, that requires all the specialized preparation, conditions, all of that, and yet we have this seeming to just like happen almost spontaneously. Just like the moment the right stuff gets pushed into place, it happens. And there's kind of a question about, is this something that there's something strange going on? Is it that summoning is becoming easier to happen for whatever reason? There's unexplained questions about that at this point. Don't really have anything further to go on there. I'll note that those 3 treasures, those are specifically the sword Ame no Murakumo, which in some legends is also known as Kusanagi, the mirror Yata no Kagami, and the jewel Yasakani no Magatama. Magatama, you may have seen that jewel that's kind of shaped, looks a little bit like a number 9 or a 6. It's often
wasn't that thing Sasuke used in Naruto?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that shows up a lot. It's often translated as jewel or orb. It specifically refers to not just any jewel, but a bead with a very specific shape, usually made of stone or jade, that originated in prehistoric Japan. Early on, they started as decorative objects, but over time, they took on ritual significance, started becoming parts of all these various ceremonies where believed to have spiritual power ascribed to them. For instance, anyone who's played the Phoenix Wright series, even though it starts off as mostly a kind of like more serious lawyerly investigation type thing, eventually has mystical elements added when you're assistant provides you with a spiritually charged Magatama that allows you to peer into the thoughts of people you're interviewing. So it's something that shows up in a lot of media and in a lot of ceremonies as something that has this religious thing, and it's not just a jewel, but jewel is the usual translation. Now, those three specific treasures, Ame no Murakumo, Yata no Kagami, and Yasakani no Magatama, they are collectively the imperial regalia of Japan. All three of those items are involved in the mythology around Susano-o, and technically, okay. In this game, his name is Susano, with one O. Traditionally, in most other games, in the actual real-world application, it's Susano-o with two O's, but it's the O's are pronounced separately rather than being a doubled O. I'm going to keep saying Susano-o because that's the one that I actually know really well by heart, and saying Susano feels kind of weird. Fun side note, the furnishing item you can get, the one that is a miniature statue of Susano, actually has in the description, second O missing and unlikely to return. Trolling bastards. So anyways, Susano-o is himself a very iconic deity in Japanese culture, so it's kind of a neat little touch that these three items that are the imperial regalia of Japan are what are used to summon him. Now, several of his attacks referenced elements from Japanese mythology as well. That knockback move with the narrow channel that you have to move along is Yata no Kagami. That is the mirror that I mentioned. The giant sword that he uses in the second phase that the tank has to resist while everyone else is trying to knock it back is that previously mentioned sword, Ame no Murakumo, literally the sword of the gathering cloud of heaven. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. The move that creates several stone prisons, Ama no Iwato, literally means heavenly rock cave. It refers to a cave that the goddess Amaterasu sealed herself inside. And much like in that legend, everyone else really wants the person sealed inside to come out of there. And the raid-wide damage attack, Ukehi, it literally means trial or ordeal, and it refers to a Shinto divination ritual that asks questions of the kami. So lots of fun little references to the mythology in his attack names, just like we see with lots of other primals. Susano-o himself makes appearances in a lot of different games, but this is his first appearance in the Final Fantasy series. He did appear as the summon in Bravely Default, which is pretty much a Final Fantasy game with the serial numbers filed off, but this is technically his first appearance in a mainline named Final Fantasy game. Given that we went to the Far East and that we were dealing with a Japanese standing culture, it's not a surprise at all that we would encounter a primal that would be from Japanese mythology. It does surprise me a little bit that it took this long to happen in the series as a whole. The Final Fantasy series doesn't often use Japanese deities. I suppose it would be a little weird if an American company created a game that used Jesus as a summon or some Native American deity or something like that. So maybe it's not that.
What is Yojimbo one? Maybe I don't know.
So I mean, Yojimbo is not actually a deity. The term means bodyguard. There was a, I think, Kurosawa film called Yojimbo, but the one in Final Fantasy X, like, they used it as a summon, but that was not actually a Japanese deity. Just this person who's playing the role of bodyguard, which is why you have to pay him.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So also with Susano, we end up being introduced a bit to the concept of kami, which the Kojin have a lot of beliefs about, but lots of people in the Othard in the Far East talk about the kami, have beliefs about them. It's the local religion that the Garleans have been trying to stamp out. Now, the Kojin believe that the kami are spirits that inhabit all objects and all things and all people, animals, plants, items, and some objects are going to have more powerful spirits in them. Something that's like finer materials, better craftsmanship, the quality of the object, and the strength of the spirit inhabiting it are directly connected. What the truth of this is actually really hard to say. I'm expecting that we're going to eventually have the Kojin as one of our beast tribes for this expansion when we get our Beastmen dailies. And once we do get to that, I expect we'll get a little bit more filled in about the culture there. But for now, we don't have a lot of info. Oh man, given their interest in like fine materials, they'd probably be the crafting beastmen dailies, wouldn't
Are
they?
you sure? What? No, I don't know.
Well, you got the gemsmiths in the
Yeah.
Ananta as well, so
Yeah,
it's
I
it
suppose there's lots of options.
could be either
But the
or.
Now, the actual truth and nature of this belief is kind of hard to say. The causal direction could be backwards. The Kojin believe that these spirits and they come to inhabit these objects, but it could be that like we're filling the objects with ether, with power. Like we ourselves fill lots of objects with ether, and in the process make them stronger and better. The Zodiac and Anima quest lines are really major examples of this, where we take weapons, fill them with so much ether, attune them with our souls, and they actually become sentient. So I don't know. Maybe maybe it's not that there actually are specifically spirits in it, but that the Kojin are able to sense objects containing ether, and their beliefs mean that they say, "Hey, there's kami in there," even if there's not actually an intelligent spirit in there. I was discussing some of this with Killendare and Anonymous earlier this week, and one comment that Anonymous made, always make sure you get your proper attribution there, is that until we get more information, we don't really know if the kami are anything. Do we have any more evidence for true kami than we have for the existence of the 12? We have a primal, but the art of summoning primals is able to mimic and corrupt any belief system. Like, is it if we say, oh, the Susano that we saw was a kami, do we then say that the Garuda we saw was the Empress of Birds and created the world and the Ixal as the primordial essence of the wind? Just because we saw this thing that is in keeping with what the Kojin believe doesn't mean that their belief is actually correct, especially since primal summoning does a lot of responding to the belief of the summoner. We do know that the people in Othard, the Othardians, believe in something. And that something is not completely unlike the elementals that the Gridanians believe in. So that's kind of a start. But again, there's still a lot of wiggle room, a lot of not well understood stuff. One interesting idea he suggested is a possibility that the Yasakani no Magatama is like Zantetsuken, in that there was something summoned into it long ago, and it triggers the manifestation of a primal in accordance with the beliefs that gave birth to it and the beliefs that it inspired.
Is it
At this
possible?
point,
Sorry, Sarah, to interrupt, but is it possible
sure.
that maybe those three items together are required to make those things show up?
It's entirely possible. I mean, out of world, given the whole, hey, these three items do have this real world significance as the Imperial Regalia, I would be surprised if that wasn't the case in world as well. It's only when these three are brought together, along with the desire to have their protector there.
Yep, and maybe they just have parts of the essence within them, and when they get within proximity, then they can become whole. I mean, like what actually happened within the storyline.
Yeah, or maybe like all three of them are ether batteries, and when they're all put together, they finally have enough to activate the thing in one of them or something. I don't know. It's not like the Kojin are going to let us back into the treasury to go take a look.
But what if we ask really, really nice?
That seems unlikely.
Yeah, you're right.
Now, the real life Susano O, we've talked about him a little bit before on this show. There are a lot of legends surrounding him. I'll just touch on them briefly this time around. He is the Shinto god of the sea and of storms. After the creator deity Izanagi traveled to the underworld to rescue his wife/sister Izanami. This is surprisingly common with a lot of ancient progenitor deities. Anyways, after Izanagi traveled to the underworld, he cleansed himself of impurities. The sun goddess Amaterasu came from his left eye. The moon god Tsukuyomi came from his right eye. And Susano O came out of his nose, which god of storms, of these strong winds coming out of this nose. This kind of connection to this being this part of the body that creates this very strong wind, kind of the divine sneeze.
That's not what I signed up for.
Now, Susano O was a very capricious deity who was given over to destructive fits of boredom, which again fits with what we saw of the Lord of the Revels, who likes the chaos of battle. It's like, hey, you're really cool. Let's have a fight. That's the sort of thing that Susano O would do. After one especially deadly outburst, his sister Amaterasu hid in the cave Ama no Iwato, and those two items, the Yasakani no Magatama, that jewel, and the Yata no Kagami, that mirror, those were instrumental in luring her back out again. After that entire thing was resolved, Susano was banished from heaven for all the trouble that he had caused. While he was traveling the world, he met a couple who had lost 7 of their 8 daughters to the 8-headed dragon, Yamata no Orochi, and who were grieving the expected upcoming loss of their last daughter, Kushinada Hime. Susano took Kushinada Hime as his wife, and then he tricked the Yamato no Orochi by setting out 8 large tubs of sake, 1 for each head. After the dragon got good and drunk and was in a nice drunken stupor, sleeping it off, Susano slayed it and found the sword Ame no Murakumo inside its table. He sent that back to his sister Amaterasu, and as a way to try to reconcile with her. All 3 of those treasures were supposedly then passed on to one of the first emperors of Japan, and supposedly have been passed on down the centuries. There's plenty of evidence to suggest that some of them or others have been lost or damaged over the years. According to one claim, the mirror was damaged by fire at one point, but a new one was made using the ashes of the old. So this might be a ship of Theseus argument we're having here. And it's not like the public gets to look at the imperial regalia, so probably most of the pieces no longer exist. But they claim and go along with the thing that this is part of the imperial treasures of Japan. Now, Susano and the concept of kami both come from Shintoism, which is an ethnic religion of Japan, goes back to ancient prehistoric times there, that literally means way of the gods. The term kami itself, it has a lot of translations. We use spirit here a lot, but essence might also be a good word for it. Now, one thing that's really important in Shintoism, so it may be that this is how it was described to our characters, but kami are not like little spirits that run around looking for something to live in, like a hermit crab looking for a shell. Rather, it's this idea that you have this essence of the divine that suffuses the entire world. It's in all things in the world, including people. And the manifestation of that divine essence takes the form of these various kami. They're kind of this emergent property. Emergent property, it's a word that I use a fair bit. I feel like I should explain it. It's this idea that this object is more than just the individual components that make it up. It has to do with like the structure that it's in, where it's found. Kind of like if you have a big thing of hydrogen and a big thing of oxygen, you could study them all day long, but you're not going to understand water, because water is an emergent property of these two things. It comes only when they're combined in this way, structured in this way, and it takes on a lot of properties from how these elements mix together. So just understanding the elements doesn't give you the understanding of the object. Kami are kind of like that in that you've got this divine essence, you've got these things, but it's this expression and building of this divine essence through the tree, through the ocean, through the rice field that gives rise to these kami. Now, this understanding of kami is a lot closer to our understanding of ether and the life stream. This idea of this all-encompassing essence that fills all the things in our world, and it takes on these various qualities depending on the things it inhabits. So with that understanding of kami, the beliefs that the Kojin have are not that different from what we know. At least at this point. There's always opportunity for something that comes up to prove me wrong on this, and I am looking forward to seeing what more we get to learn about them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a basic intro to Susano and the kami.
Yeah, it basically, you're right, it is very similar to Livestream in that aspect.
Yeah. One thing that came up again in those library discussions was this idea that Koji and Oda have talked about this, where in a lot of games, you talk to an NPC and they tell you something about the world, and it's like, this is just a fact about the world, and everyone knows it, and everyone knows how the world works. And what happens more often in the real world is people tell you facts about the world based on what they've observed and what they've been able to piece together. And they are often missing information or have some misunderstanding of something. But it's much more interesting to present stuff as, hey, these are the conclusions that the people could reach based on what they saw. There's a number of other interesting examples in the game like that, where we actually have a bit more information than a lot of other people, and so could reasonably put together that what NPCs are saying is not actually the true story, but it's something believable to them based on what they know. Which means you have to search a little bit more for your truths, but it also makes them a bit more satisfying when you get them.
Makes sense. All right. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed that explanation. If there's something else that you want to hear about other than Lakshmi in the next episode, feel free to email us, podcast@phoenixradio.com. Like I said, you can tweet at us at phxdnradio. You can check out the Discord channel, and you can put a request in the Lorebrary. Like I said, the link is below the stream. Or like I said, you can go to phoenixradio.com/Discord. That should bring you to the link to get added to the channel. If you have issues, let me know. I can be more than happy to help you out. So, we didn't really get much for emails or comments this week, but okay, I have to talk about this. This was kind of funny.
Oh dear.
Yes. I don't know exactly where this came from or why this became a thing, but apparently this week... Chille, do you know where all this came from?
Flatters.
You know what I'm talking about,
Maelstrom
right?
Radio. I'm guessing.
Yep.
Flatters from Maelstrom Radio sent a picture of a hot dog stand, and then someone said, "Oh, that's Chille there," and Flatters said, "No, Chille's hiding behind the stand." And then I turned into the hot dog somehow.
And then Shinter said that I should bring in my skills to put Chille's face on the hot dog, and we end up using the dancing hot dog. So without further ado, if you didn't see it on Twitter, I'm gonna link my the tweet. Yes, I created the dancing chili dog.
Why
Oh
will I
God,
be
why?
Because I could.
There are some things memes were not meant to do, which is actually most things, but...
This one actually I thought turned out pretty well, though.
Yeah, no mother hates their child, no matter how ugly it is. Wow, I just said that. What the hell, Self?
Man, you're just, like, harsh.
It's the only way you'll learn to make better meme babies.
All right, let's start with the shout-outs then at this point. Who has shout-outs they want to throw out? Chille, come on.
I always do, but I was hoping someone else did as well.
Well, we can start with you, and then we'll go to Seyrr.
Okay, I'd like to shout out to Alistair. Thanks for joining us again today, and Kane. Shout out to Evolved Mail, aka your girlfriend's favourite streamer / your wife's favourite streamer. And a shout out to Klauss. Thanks for having me on as always.
You're always welcome here, buddy.
Yeah. Until you can replace me with the dog. I mean, a hot dog version of me.
It has to dance, though. Seyrr?
Shout out to the Deltascape 3.0 group that did not kick me and assume I was trolling when my computer refused to load any models for the first bit that I came in. I'm really sorry about sapping you those times. I'm really glad we made it the second time through.
Yay.
Thank you for being patient, everyone.
Yes, thank you for being a good community.
Yes.
I want to... Go ahead.
And shout out to Killendare and Anonymous, and I think there must be a couple other people, but everyone who's been posting comments. Oh, Scarlett was commenting some stuff as well, but everyone who's been commenting in the Lorebrary and keeping me distracted from the work I actually should be doing. It's great fun.
Well, we now know what Seyrr does while he's at the library. He spends it on all his time on his phone on Discord. Unless your computers allow you to access it.
Nope.
So he's on his phone.
Confirmed. I don't know
Confirmed.
what you're talking about.
Confirmed.
Hey, if I'm not on the information desk and I'm not running a story time, my time is my own.
Even
And
though...
I'm prepared to respond to any of those. And also, technically, I have some reports that I need to get done at some point, but I can totally do that while arguing lore.
The TPS reports?
We don't have anything that pointless, thankfully.
I
We're a
don't know.
government institution. We don't waste time.
I don't know. Did you get the memo?
I'm going to stab you now. I don't know when I'll stop.
Anyway, I want to shout out to my co-hosts, Seyrr and Chille. Big shout out to Luna. Hope you feel better.
I feel better, Luna.
Hopefully,
it's not the same without you.
It's not. It never is. Hopefully, they gave you some good medication to make you feel better. Shout out to everybody who joined us live here at twitch.tv/Phoenix Down Radio. Like I said, we do this every other Saturday night. And we really look forward to the interaction we get in the chat room. So thank you, everybody who stopped by, as well as everybody who's listening on the podcast. Make sure that you like, subscribe, follow us on the different locations like iTunes.
I just remembered something I want to say quickly.
Go ahead. Can we do it after this part?
Okay.
All right. So like I said, make sure to like, follow, subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, YouTube. We are almost at 100. Last time we were at 96. So come on, guys. If you haven't gone to our YouTube channel, search for Phoenix on Radio on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. And then we're going to be able to say, go to youtube.com/Phoenix on Radio. How cool will that be? But go ahead and do that. Leave us a comment, a rating, or a review, something like that, so people can see what we're like. If you like us, if you hate us, just be honest with it. Just, give us the best, most honest 5-star review you can, right? And, it helps people find us and gets us seen in the community. And if you're really digging the show, please consider becoming a patron or subscribing here on Twitch. You can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/Phoenix Down Radio. Or if you're watching us on Twitch, you can click on that little subscribe button and you get access to additional emotes based on what level you subscribe at. So if you want to support us in that way, we would really appreciate it. So thank you very much. Thank you to Kane for resubbing for your second month. We do appreciate that. All right, go ahead, Chille. What were you going to say?
I'm just going to do a little shout out to Maelstrom Radio because they're going to be reaching their 50th episode soon. In the next few weeks, I think. So just want to say congratulations on that.
Yeah, we'll be hitting 50 on the next episode. So that's kind of a nice little
convenience.
And we're actually getting very close to our 2-year anniversary as well. So
Penguin says 97 subs now. So thank you, Penguin.
Thank you, Penguin. We appreciate that. We're come on. Let's see if we can get it to 100 by the end of the week. All right. That's your homework. End of the week being in 2 hours. 4 if you're on the West Coast.
We may need to give them some extensions.
I'm being a smart ass. Give me a break.
No, wait a minute. That'll be a day because it's Saturday today, isn't it?
Yeah. So like I said, end of the week.
Systems varied on whether Saturday or Sunday is the end of the week.
True. I mean, they do call Saturday and Sunday the weekend, though I'm assuming they mean the beginning and the end.
So join us on Phoenix Down Radio, where we'll make a stupid joke and then explain it to death.
Yes, because that's what we do.
Every single week.
Thank you for putting up with that, guys. Chille, how can people find you out on social media?
You can find me at Chille UK on Twitter.
Anywhere else that you like to be found, or just Twitter?
You can find me on Chille on PSN. You can email me at ben.chillebearhall@psu.com.
Very cool. Also, shout out to PlayStation Unchained. One of the other co-hosts, Tim, was in the chat for a while, so thanks for stopping by, Tim. There, he got a shout out too. Seyrr, how can people find you?
So the main thing that you can find me on is Twitter. That's FFXIV Seyrr, SEYRR. I mean, I tweet stuff. I don't know how much of it's worth reading, but I tweet stuff.
It's a thing.
What is the last thing I tweeted, anyways?
I think the last thing I tweeted was the dancing chili dog or something like that, but
a miracle of content right there.
Exactly. Hey, it got a bunch of likes. Give me a break.
Well, in the future, that will be our currency.
I'm getting close to 50,000 tweets, so.
Wow.
Dang.
But you
I
tweet
have,
it a
like,
lot.
You got to remember, though, that's over 8 years.
Hmm.
7, 8 years.
Truth. I didn't use Twitter very much until I started doing this, honestly.
And like my last one was talking about Lakshmi Extreme and how non-consensual Bollywood would be a good name for a band.
Oh, yeah, I read that tweet. Oh, my God.
Okay, non-consensual Bollywood. Good band name or best band name?
Worst.
Best band name.
Worst in the best way? Or best in the worst
who
way?
has taste. So yeah, it's kind of nonsense and shit posting like that.
Yes, but people like that. That's what the internet is for.
Yes, the internet has taught us that people like shit posting.
And porn. Anyway.
We didn't need the internet to know that.
But they already knew. Luna, who couldn't join us this week, she can be found at Luna_Vox on Twitter. And I can be found at PHXDN_Klauss, and that's Klauss with 2 S's. If you want to tweet the show, we're at PHXDN Radio. Our website again is www.phoenixdownradio.com. And like I said, if you want to check us out on Twitch, if you're listening to us on the podcast, again, it's twitch.tv/PhoenixDownRadio. Well, that was a good time, guys. I appreciate all your hard work this week on the show. Thank you so much for joining us again for this week. And like I said, next show is going to be our 50th episode, and we're going to be very, very, very close to 2 years. So maybe we'll have something special planned for then. So for the missing Lunavox, and for my other co-hosts, Seyrr, and for Chille, I am Klauss Nightbringer, wishing everybody a wonderful evening. Thanks again for joining us. Take care.
Phoenix Down Radio is a production of PhoenixDownRadio.com and Illusion Productions. Final Fantasy XIV and Eorzea are trademarks of Square Enix. In-game content for Phoenix Down Radio is the copyright of Square Enix. Opening music for Phoenix Down Radio is provided by Guilty Gear Rock You. Check out the Metal Chocobo theme cover and many other music videos at youtube.com/Guilty Gear Rock You. Closing music for this episode is provided by Guitar Wanker 90. Please check out their full version of Matoya's Cave and other rock video game covers at youtube.com/Guitar Wanker 90. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of Phoenix Down Radio and its hosts and do not reflect the views of Square Enix.